is Michelle Irwin, and we are back for another episode of Retail Media Thursdays. During this series, we've met with guests from the retailers, the brands, the agencies. Today, we're meeting with data cleanroom technology Infosum. Our guest is Lauren Wetzel, who is joining us from the US. Lauren, welcome to the UK.
Oh, thanks for having me.
No, thank you for joining us for Retail Media Thursdays. Do you want to introduce yourself and Infosum to begin with?
Yeah, so Lauren Wetzel, Chief Operating Officer at Infosum. I've been there for almost 4 years. In that capacity, I lead strategy, I lead business development, which is all of our partnerships, our services team, marketing team, and Infosum. So Infosum is in the data cleanroom space. We're data collaboration infrastructure. So we work with companies like retail media networks who have data, and we really ensure via privacy-enhancing technology that they can collaborate effectively without handing over the data to a partner, without losing control of that data. And so we've helped our clients launch really innovative advertising products. So we've been mostly focused in marketing and advertising, although there's also a lot of applications outside of marketing and advertising. So just think of it as great technology that helps whenever you have data so that you maintain control, but you can do a lot of innovative things that us as consumers would want. Better content, better advertising experiences, more engaging, enriching experiences. So all of the relevance that comes with data, but protected because privacy is so incredibly important.
And you did just tell me off camera that you were a client. So when you say it's a great product, you have real life experience of that.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Bought it, invested in it. And then I think the ultimate investment is wherever you spend your, Monday through Friday and your time and energy. And yeah, I've loved being here. And I've just loved seeing the market sort of respond to it. Like when I was a client, it was decentralized, data collaboration infrastructure, it was privacy enhancing technology, but you didn't call it the data cleanroom category of this space. And just seeing, a lot of other companies pop up in their data cleanrooms, people embracing the notion of it. It's been watching a category form.
Yeah.
And back to retail media, it's also been at the same time that CTV's surging, new measurements coming out, retail media and commerce media more broadly. So it's just a really good space to be in, good time to be in, kind of connects you across the other trends of the industry.
Yeah, exciting times, and we'll come on to a lot of those topics shortly. But before that, we have a standard question. So what's been your peak of the week, personally or professionally?
So it was this morning. I mean, I'm a little jet lagged. So it's never sort of day one of being here, which I do red eye and I go straight into meetings back to back. But this morning I had a lovely breakfast, and it's where professional meets personal because it was the greatest cappuccino of my life. And I love coffee. And then the meeting was probably, I'll give the rest of the week a fair shot, but it's probably the best meeting of the week with our current investor and a board member of Infosum, and he's just a lovely person. And so it was just a great breakfast meeting all around.
Very good. And which pub are we in, and why did you choose it?
We are in one of two locals, as you say here, spots for Infosum. This is the Grafton Arms. The reason I selected it is, number one, it's really close to the office, so I can get back and get to meetings, but not here in this sort of area, but if you actually go through it, they have doggy portraits.
Oh.
And I'm obsessed with dogs. I have a dog. His name is Debo. And they are like full portraits with, regal attire, but just a cute doggy face.
Oh, that's always a good reason to choose a pub. In fact, there's no other reason to choose one.
Yeah.
Well, I wish we could have had nicer weather for you, especially given that we're outside. But anyway.
No. Well, New Yorker, I'm used to the cold, and we've kind of had the same thing going.
So let's get into the retail media portion. Can you elaborate? You mentioned there's some retailers you're working with. Can you elaborate on who you're working with and how you're facilitating the collaborations with different media owners across different audiences?
Sure. So first and foremost, we work with media owners and we work with brands. So some of the retailers we've started working with, Boots and Tesco. We also work with Nectar 360. And some of them just started because they wanted to protect their data, but use their data for more effective marketing. So they have campaigns to run. They want more people to come into their stores. They want to drive more sales. And so that's sort of a classical way that a retailer as a brand would use us. Now that retailers are also fueling their data to help drive more effective advertising for partners, What's really been unique and interesting is when we work with media owners, it's so that they can use their understanding of their audience and launch more innovative ad products. So think of ITV, which has the amazing ITVX streamer, and they want to launch new CTV ad formats, and they want to use their data. So they launched a product called Matchmaker, where it's their understanding of the audience across ITVX on VOD, but then it's bringing in Boots loyalty card data, and also that sales transaction data. And so it's kind of that harmony of multiple parties coming together to collaborate. It's a richer, more engaging ad experience for the consumer. And then you can actually understand performance. So when you have that loyalty card, you can actually target the right segments. And then when you have the transactional understanding, you can understand, okay, this is how much this campaign on this piece of content drove transactions. And it just really allows for you to then plan more effectively. So it kind of comes full circle. So it's better activation, better measurement, and then ultimately, especially with our agency partners, everyone's planning more effectively and seeing a return on their investment.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of data there, and you said the need to protect it. Let's dig into this a little bit more. So how important is that privacy kind of part of things to the conversations you're having? How are the retailers that you're talking to adapting around that?
Yeah, I think first for me personally, privacy and caring for privacy is paramount. It's sort of my why. I think everyone in your career should have a why. And our industry got entirely careless with the need to use data to drive better advertising, but not understanding the really critical need to protect consumers' data. And so we've seen regulation come out. We've seen big tech sort of react to it. And right now, privacy is no longer just like a fringe little department as a part of these larger marketing and, retail companies, media owner companies. Privacy is a critical function. Privacy is driving change. And I think the other thing that's important is it used to be that, you could get one and not the other. Like you imagine bringing the privacy teams together and you're thinking about privacy and that's some sort of a detriment or it's going to stall your business. It's going to slow things down. There's a lot of paperwork involved, but it's really not because it's protecting that relationship with the consumer. So if you're a part of a loyalty card program at, say, Boots, and you trust Boots and they have a certain understanding of who you are, and then they want to use that data, you want to understand what they collected, what you're doing with it. You want to ensure that Boots is not handing over data just to run a more effective advertising campaign or sell their own advertising. And so I think consumers are just more aware of it. Could be generational, could be the many social platforms. I think that's just been a massive trend and it's not going away. They're going to continue to ask more questions. And so having that relationship and then just improving the industry. So having higher standards, which you can have now because there's great technology like Infosum that can ensure it's protected throughout any part of that sort of marketing value chain.
Such an important role in the industry.
Yeah, and I wish the U.S. would catch up a little bit on some of the regulation. We've got 16 states right now. Maryland, which is actually where I'm born and raised, is the latest state that just rolled out some legislation, and there was a federal bill that's being put up. But it is nice to be in Europe where GDPR has now been around for 5+ years. And so to your other question, how are they embracing it or are they taking it seriously? Every customer of Infosum is taking it seriously, and they're reading the fine print and they're asking the tough questions and they're bringing in compliance teams and InfoSec teams and lawyers earlier. And I just really appreciate that. It's like a breath of fresh air to have people really dig into the technology, really ask the hard questions. And I'm proud to be at a company that's sort of standing up and, can meet those standards.
Yeah, we're hearing it more and more, even from the brands that we're working with. It's coming up in every single RFP, it's coming up in every single pitch. It's like they want conversations with our chief data officer. It's just,
Yeah, it is. And there's a chief data officer, there's chief privacy officer, like those teams. That's my pitch to people getting into their careers. It's just like, this is a really interesting area. Data will always be an essential fuel to drive so many businesses. Advertising, of course, better healthcare, better decisions. And so I think it extends even beyond marketing. Advertising extends beyond retail media. We wouldn't have like a retail media sector or commerce media sector if it wasn't for data and if it wasn't for ensuring you're protecting it.
Yeah, 100%. So back to the retail media portion of this, and you mentioned ITV there. So
Yeah.
I think connected TV, like growing in the US, but probably still not quite living up to its potential. What opportunity is there for these retail media, retailer and CTV collaborations, and how's that going to improve kind of ad quality and overall audience targeting?
I think every partner that you just described is bringing something unique to the table. And so people are watching more content that they ever have before, and they want it on their time, whenever, however, binge watch or not. And so I think those media owners and the CTV providers are an essential part of that content and that audience access. Yeah. But at the same time, they don't have transactional data. Some do, not all do. They don't have a comprehensive 360 view of the client outside of streaming. And so I think it's about, number one, always having a very clear understanding of your consumer so that you can have better, more effective targeting. And that's at the onset. That's at planning. That's at just like, who's your consumer? And it's that connection point, right? Of like, what are they watching and when are they watching? But then what is that doing? If you catch them with a great advertisement, at midnight, does that drive a specific, purchase decision, or is it better to reach them in the morning? I think that link is really important to drive commerce and to help make decisions. And everyone just wants to better understand a return on investment. So measurement's really important. And so I think when we first saw CTV, it was like same old types of ads, and just the basics of sort of taking what happened on television and trying to replicate it. I think over the past couple of years, the reaction of not living up to the hype is, okay, well, now we're going to partner with retailers. Now we're going to do shoppable ads. How are we going to drive, really effective measurement that's not just based on demos, but that's based on sales uplift? And so I think that's the innovation that CTV and retail can kind of bring together that makes CTV more effective, but also still leans into the fact that the audiences are growing there. We're still going to get more content. And I think there's a lot of interesting things that are still to come.
Yeah, I agree. We actually had a roadmap session this week with Amazon, and it's all streaming TV, connected TV. It's definitely where the leader's thinking about it, and I'm sure everybody else will follow.
Of course. I mean, they've done such a great thing for the industry to showcase how from, an online bookstore to expand into this booming advertising business. And now you see Uber as a commerce media network. Now you see sports media networks, travel networks. Yeah. United Airlines has a really burgeoning media business, which is coming. And I just think that's so exciting for us. That's just more clients.
Yeah.
There's more data, there's more collaborations, there's more parties coming together. And I think that's really unique and interesting, which is you're starting to see partnerships you wouldn't normally see. Like when you have technology that allows you to partner effectively, launch new products, and where you can trust the party because you're not giving up control. I think there's a really great value exchange there, and I think we're going to see a lot more.
It's interesting, actually, you mentioned some of those other brands. Like, do they have as much data as the retailers? Like, do they already have loyalty schemes, a lot of them? Like, how are they thinking about it?
CPG is a great example. So for consumer packaged goods, you don't have as much data. Yeah. And so that's where the product that I described with Matchmaker, and also Channel 4 is a great client. They have a really great product with Nectar 360, so they get some of that, and it really is for the CPG companies. So yeah. They have some understanding, and some I think are more advanced in terms of their journey of first-party data collection and management and figuring out what they want to do. Pepsi's a great client, and they have an incredible data science and insights team, and they've been really hard at work at this for a while. But we're seeing like over 122% uplift on that collaborative Nectar 360 Channel 4 product for the CPGs. Mm-hmm. And so even though you have a little bit of data, when you have a good understanding of your audience that's coming from Channel 4 and a good understanding of the shopper category that they sit in, as well as transactions from Nectar 360, that's just pun intended, match made in heaven.
Do you think with these CTV and retail media relationships, we're going to start to see even more silos in this world of walled gardens that are already siloed?
I don't think that. I think actually when you have this type of technology, you can create fluidity across. So yes, there's going to be your social platforms and walled gardens, but when you have the type of technology that allows you to collaborate, and we are talking to walled gardens, and we do have integrations and activations into walled gardens, and for our clients who are taking advantage of that, that means they have their own environments, they have their partner environments. So again, using ITV, they've got obviously their own, CTV products, and then they have these partnerships with the retailers, and so there's collaboration there. And then there's collaborations on the social channels. So all of a sudden you're getting kind of more fluidity across. And so even though I think there will be more, call it walled gardens, with the likes of more commerce networks coming to be and utilizing their data, I also think when you have privacy enhancing technology, you can be comforted by the fact that you can trust those partners, and that's just better for the end buyer, who are the brands who are spending, for the agencies that support them. That's what, frankly, everyone's been wanting. They want to understand how they can reach their consumers across all these channels, how that performs, and then how that changes what they're going to do the next day and plan for the next year. And so I think you can kind of see that full funnel and range of services to meet your consumer where you're at for whatever the objective is, whether that's to drive sales, whether that's just to engage, whether that's to have a repeat customer or find a new one. I just think that the possibilities are there thanks to, really, really important privacy technology and taking that very seriously.
Yeah. I agree. I read an article where they're now being defined as the hedged gardens because they are kind of sharing data. And
I've heard community gardens, hedge gardens. I like that.
So many partnerships now being formed. It's good for the industry.
It is.
So I think the other kind of big topic that we haven't touched on yet is measurement. So in this world where we've got all of these partnerships and all of these different channels, like what's the approach there? Like how are people thinking about that as they move forward across the different channels?
I think everyone's thinking about it. I think it's faced a lot of criticism. I think the number one critique has just been standardization. And I think it's what you said earlier, which is not everyone has the same data assets. And so not everyone's going to be able to offer the same measurement that's available. And so on one hand, you get more flavors of measurement, but that's not for everyone. And so you need data collaboration and partnerships to sort of be able to offer those different flavors of measurement to your partners and to your clients. I think we're seeing more standards. I think it was the IAB Europe just released like this week or maybe a month ago. There's a couple articles on it this week that I was digging through, new standards. And so when you have these new channels and you have different data that's fueling different flavors of measurement, you just need standards, metrics. You need to make it easy for a brand if they're buying in one channel and they expect a certain type of measurement that they can then have that same level of expectation, because then that helps their decisions be a little bit more apples to apples and helps them to, more effectively allocate their spend. So I think there's a ton of possibilities. My criticism would be standardization. I think we still have a lot more work to do. And it's just partnerships. Like Infosum has great measurement capabilities within our platform, but there's amazing companies that just do measurement and that's all that they do. And we are open to integrations with those companies. We have companies that do their sort of own work, but I do think we need the industry to sort of digest those new standards, make it easy, just like they did when digital ad formats first came out, and just as they're doing, frankly, with data clean rooms, which is just, not all data clean rooms are created equal. What's the real technology? What are the standards? What does that mean in terms of compliance with GDPR? Yeah. You have to answer those questions whenever you're forming something new. And I think with the formation of commerce media and retail media networks, you're just going to need standards across measurement.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that comes to the end of our retail media questions.
This was delightful.
We always have, though, a quick fire round.
Oh.
Which I know whoever wrote the questions for me gave me some options, but we're not going to ask any of those because we like it to be a surprise.
Okay.
So if you've
take a sip of my beer.
Yeah, you might need one. So if you've ever watched a Retail Media Thursday before, whenever I interview anybody in the US or somebody comes over from the US, I always test them on how much they know English words.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to actually get my notes out because I can't remember what ones I wrote down this morning. Do you know what a cuppa is?
No clue.
Cup of tea.
Oh, cuppa.
A cuppa.
Cuppa. Okay.
Wellies.
Shoes? some short,
like Wellington boots.
boots. Yeah,
I don't know what you got.
It's like rain boots.
Yeah, we need
you have a lot of that today.
Yeah, exactly. NAF. That was NAF.
How do you spell it?
NAFF.
NAFF. No clue.
That's rubbish.
It was so close to nap, and as a jet lag person,
We just want to go to bed. I feel you. I've only just got back as well, so it's painful. Bobby.
something with your hair.
That is an option. So there is a bobby pin, but
Okay.
in this case, I was referring to a policeman.
Oh.
Bobbies.
Absolutely no clue. Never heard of that.
And a brolly. Also need it today.
Oh, umbrella.
Yeah. Skint.
No clue.
Like no money. And poor.
Oh, skint. Oh, I knew that one.
And tosh. A load of old tosh.
Bullshit.
Rubbish, yeah. you got a couple there.
Yeah.
Did better than most people.
Okay. You made me very nervous, and I'll forgive people for not telling me that was coming.
Well, thank you so much for squeezing us in while you're doing your flying visit to the UK. I appreciate it.
So glad to be here. I love the segment.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.